I'm glad you guys are here today. Thank you for joining me. I slept funny on my neck last night, so we're gonna start off with some neck stretches. So come comfortable on your mat, get comfortable. Whether you're seated like I am or seated in any other way, or maybe even in a chair, that's all good. And I actually, it's kind of funny because my sister asked me for some neck stretches. So this particular sequence that we're going to do first is up on Instagram as well as just like a little 5-minute thing to do for your neck. But we'll start just shutting our eyes. Lengthen up through both sides of the waist. The crown of your head float above your spine. And breathe easy. Tuning into the particular rhythms of yourself, your body for this day. Checking, see how you feel. How you feel physically. How you feel emotionally. And setting our intention for this day. With a deep breath in, lengthen up through both sides of the waist. Hold that breath in for just a beat, and then release it long and slow, controlling the release of the exhale. Holding yourself empty at the bottom of your breath, and then a big breath in. Hold that breath in, and then long, slow exhale. Trying to match the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. Hold yourself empty. One more time, big breath in. Really make it your biggest breath yet. Filling right up. Holding the breath in, and then a long, slow exhale. Just return to a normal breath now. And softly open your eyes. Let's inhale the fingertips up to the ceiling. Drop the shoulder blades down the back. Interlace your hands above your head, and then bring your hands, your interlaced fingers, to the base of your skull. And then let your elbows fall in towards your ears, so you're sort of framing your head. And then tuck your chin into your throat. So we're not pushing down on our head here, we're just letting the head hang heavy, the elbows hang heavy. We're still lengthening up through both sides of the waist so that if you looked at me from the side, I'd look like one of those bendy straws. The whole length of the spine is nice and straight and tall, right up to the neck, and right in the cervical spine, we're taking this bend. One more full cycle of breath here. And before we come out of it, I just want you to take your fingers and bring them to your forehead and help your head up so that you're not using the muscles in the back of your neck that you just stretched out to lift your heavy head. Inhale, fingertips up, and we'll do the side of the neck. So left fingertips are going to come down to the mat. Right hand comes over the top of your head. Take the left ear and draw it over towards the right. So once again, we're not pushing down on the head. We're really drawing the crown of the head further over to the right, and then reaching out with the left hand so the left shoulder is dropped down and away from the head. Now you might find a burst of sensation right away, or maybe you can just walk your left fingertips back and forth across the mat. You'll likely find a burst of sensation somewhere, and you can breathe into that. Can maybe move your chin around a little bit too. After a couple of breaths, that burst of sensation will likely subside and you can move around a little bit more. See if there's another spot. Our head is held in place by like a bunch of small muscles that work together to hold our head up balanced over our spine. And if we hold our head not in alignment with the spine for any length of time, one side's going to get, some of those muscles are going to be overtaxed and some of them are going to be overstretched. So bring your right fingertips to the temple, to the right temple, and then bring your crown of your head up. Inhale, fingertips up. As you exhale, right hand comes down, left hand reaches up and over, taking the right ear over to the left. You can look around for any tension there. Walking the right hand back and forth across the mat. Maybe moving your chin like in little circles. Just breathing easy here. So yeah, we have all those little muscles working together to hold your head up, and your head is super heavy. But if one or two of them get overtaxed, you're gonna pay for it. So we pay for that, the flexibility of being able to look over our shoulders and up and down, with the vulnerability of having those muscles sometimes be fatigued or injured. Left hand comes to the left temple. Bring your head back up. Maybe give your shoulders a couple of rolls. And then let's come to a tabletop position. Just taking a moment, spread the fingers wide, wrists are under the shoulders, a couple of cat-cows here, turning the tailbone up, drop the belly, heart comes forward, crown of the head is high. As you exhale, turn the tailbone down, round the spine, tuck the chin. Inhale to open the front of the body, just moving through these poses, just like moving energy up and down your spine like a wave. And then next inhale, come to center. Curl your toes under. And as you exhale, let's lift the knees 2 inches up off the mat. So you're like in a floating tabletop pose. You can exhale here. Another big breath in. And this time as you exhale, let your knees come wide, still off the mat, and slide your hips back over your heels. So you look like a little froggy. And then inhale back to that tabletop pose, that floating tabletop. Now let's flow with this. Exhale to bring the hips back. Inhale to come forward. Do it a couple more times, just loosening up the hips. Exhale back. Inhale to a floating tabletop. One more time, pivoting on the heels so that the knees come wide. Inhale forward. This time you can exhale back, downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet out, moving around whatever way feels good. Breathing easy. Shake your head. For sure, shake your head. Let any tension come out of your head. Let's bring the feet together at the back of the mat. Inhaling, we'll float the right foot up to the ceiling. As you exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Give your ankle a couple of turns here, one way, then the other. Next inhale, extend the right heel long. And then as you exhale, bring the right foot forward to the outside of your right hand. Plant the left hand and inhale the fingertips up to the ceiling. Nice easy twist here. Back leg is straight and strong. Stacking the right shoulder over the left. Letting the right hand come back down onto the mat. Walk your hands around towards the long edge of the mat so you're in a wide-legged forward fold. Feet are parallel. Let's just let the head sink down towards the mat. Nice, easy forward fold here. Fingertips are on the mat. Now pivot your feet on your toes so that your toes are pointing out, heels are in. Soften your knees. Let's just do a slow spinal roll up, bringing the shoulders up over the hips. Inhale, the fingertips high. And as you exhale, sink your hips and your elbows, coming to goddess pose. So the elbows are about as high as the shoulders, and they're squeezed back so that your whole arms are out of your peripheral vision. Knees are tracking out over the toes and sinking the hips down. Let's inhale here, come up on your right toes. Exhale to lower. Inhale, come up on your left toes. Exhale to lower. Inhale, come up on both toes. Exhale to lower. Hands can come to heart center. Let's forward fold and pivot on your feet till the feet are parallel again. Left hand can come underneath your face. We're in a halfway lift with a long back. And inhale, the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. Square your hips. Exhale, right hand comes back down onto the mat. And I want you to crisscross your wrists to walk your hands towards the back of the mat, bending the left knee, bringing the hips down over the left heel, and your right leg is going to come straight with the toes up off the mat. You can stay here with your hands on the mat, or you can bring your hands to heart center to balance. Up to you here. From here, I want to move to the front of the mat, and the trick to this is going to be to keep the hips low. You can crisscross your hands across the floor to the front of the mat, or you can keep your hands at heart center. But whatever you choose, keep your hands low. So we're at the front of the mat. Like to exhale to the back of the mat. Inhale to the front of the mat. One more time, both ways. Using your hands to support yourself if you need. Hands come down onto the mat and walk around till you're at the front of the mat, and back into your lunge at the front of the mat. Dropping your left knee down onto the mat. Plant the left hand. And your right hand. You can take this as a dragon pose. Make sure your knee's not coming past your ankle. Your right ankle. If you want, you can come down onto the forearms, stay on the palms, or if you like, bend the left knee and reach back with your right hand. Take that foot. One full cycle of breath here. Then bringing the right hand back forward onto the mat. Tick-tock your left foot. Just travel it across the mat. Your right foot across the mat to the left side of the mat. Coming to pigeon pose, bring your right knee down. And we're in a nice easy pigeon pose. You can stay up like this, supporting yourself with your hands. No pain in the right knee. If you're feeling pain, come out of it right away. You can come down onto your forearms if you like, or maybe bring your forehead down onto the mat. We're gonna have 5 breaths here. So try and sink into this pose. Try and release. I know for some people it can be really intense. Actually, I think for some of you, you don't really like this pose. Remembering that now. But try and release as you're in it. And even maybe find a little equanimity this morning, which is a practice to cultivate during these times, where we just do it and release any emotion that you might have attached to it. Like, I know there's poses for me that I immediately get aggravated in there because they're uncomfortable or I don't like them. And the trick is to try and just do them without attaching that emotion to it. And you can bring that skill off your mat. Bringing your hands onto the mat again if you've lowered them. Let's curl into the left toes. Bring that left knee forward and unwind from this pose, coming to a down dog. Feet are together at the back of the mat. Your next inhale will float the left heel. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, left foot comes forward to the outside of the left hand. Right knee can stay up, or you can bring it down on the mat. Plant the left hand and open the chest to the right. Actually, plant the right hand, open the chest to the left. That'll work better. Nice easy twist here, sink in the hips. Let your left hand come back down onto the mat and walk your hands around towards the long edge of the mat. Forward fold here. If you want, you can interlace your thumbs at the base of your spine and let your fist come up and overhead. Releasing the fingertips to the mat. Pivot on your heels so your heels are in, toes are out. Soften the knees, tracking out over the toes, and a slow spinal roll up. Coming up to your goddess pose. So the tendency here in goddess pose is to lean forward. I want you to try and keep your shoulders up over your hips. It might even feel like you're leaning back a little bit. And then sink the hips down, tracking the knees out over the toes. Coming down as far as feels good. Squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit. Hands are out of the peripheral vision. Now here, I want you to maintain these goddess arms with your elbows at 90 degrees and squeeze the right side of your body, bringing your elbow down to your right hip, stretching the left side of the body. Inhale up, exhale, squeezing the left side of the body. Inhale up, continuing to flow like that. Right, then left. I feel like that song that I used to sing when I was little, I'm a little teapot, tipping over. Let's finish with squeezing the left side of the body. Inhale, straighten both legs and your hands. As you exhale, hands to heart center, pivot on your feet and roll over. Back to a forward fold. I think we did an easy twist here. Right hand under the face. The left hand's gonna reach for the ceiling. Notice the hips don't move here. So we're getting a really deep stretch right in the spine. Exhale, left hand comes down, walking your hands over to the right, coming to Skandasana, bringing the right hip over the right heel. Again, keep your hands on the mat if you want to support yourself. Left toes are up off the mat. If you want, you can bring your hands to heart center. And let's flow to the front of the mat. Try to keep your hips as low as you can. So minimize the arc that your hips come up. Flow to the back of the mat. Inhale to the front of the mat. Exhale to the back of the mat. So let's come to the front now. We'll stay here. Hands can come to the mat, walk around, pivot on your feet till you are facing the front of the mat, back into your lunge, dropping the right knee down onto the mat. You can stay here with the hips sinking. You can turn your toes off the mat if you like. Come onto your forearms or stay on palms. If you want, definitely an option to take the bind. Bring your right heel into the sits bone. Reach back with the left hand. Take that left foot. Nice easy stretch here. Breathing into it. Bringing that left hand back down onto the mat. Travel your foot across the mat. So the left foot is on the right side of the mat. Let the left knee come down. Slide your hips back. So we're Rolling the shoulders back. I want you to notice the hips, both hip bones are facing forward. So we're not leaning too much. If the hip bones are facing off to the right, you're leaning too much onto that left hip, and you might benefit from grabbing a pillow or something like that and bunching it up underneath your hip to give it a little bit of support. You can stay here just like this on your palms, or feel free to come down. We'll have 5 breaths here, down on forearms, or maybe your forehead comes to the mat. Bringing your palms to the mat. Lift the heart. This time I want you to roll. I want you to intentionally roll onto that left hip. Sweep your right leg forward. Bring your hips into the center of the mat. And we're going to come down onto our back. So you can have your hands behind you, supporting you. You can reach your hands out forward. Big toes can be pressing into the mat, or you can your shins, they are parallel to the ceiling. Whatever you've chosen, tuck your chin into your throat and slowly lower down onto the mat. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. And then let's bring the feet to the width of the mat. Knees are bent. Reach your hands up, straight up from your shoulders, and then bend your elbows. Take each opposite elbow. Let your elbows fall to the right and your knees fall to the left. And then inhale up to center, and then exhale. Elbows left, knees right. And let's just flow with this. Keep moving. Now, tendency is to have the elbows or your forearms fall up over your face or down over your chest. Try and keep them in line with your shoulders. And breathe easy here. If you want to hang out on one side or the other and then the other, do that instead of flowing here. It's up to you. Just a couple more breaths, and then we're going to move into Savasana. So let's come to center. You can bring your knees into your chest. Maybe you want to tuck your chin into your throat. And then open out into Savasana. Heels are down at the end of the mat. Even bring them wide so they're right off the mat. Tuck your shoulder blades in underneath you. Palms are facing up. It's a nice gesture of openness with the palms facing up. Sort of being accepting, ready for whatever the day has to come. You may want to connect with your intention for this day. Just a few more breaths here, enjoying the stillness. Feeling the energy that we've created, that we've churned up, traveling around the body. Knowing we have energy for the day ahead. As always, I'd like to encourage you to stay in Savasana for as long as you have time for. But if you would like to begin to move, start with your fingers and toes. Take a deep breath in. A long, slow exhale. Turn your wrists and your ankles. Another big breath in. As you begin to bring movement up your limbs towards your body, exhale, turning the head from side to side. And draw your knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. And then roll to one side or the other. Take a couple of breaths here in the fetal position. Taking it easy, preparing to come back up to sit. And then moving only when you are ready. Staying nice and relaxed, keeping your head, your neck, your shoulders nice and relaxed. Finding your way up to sit. Again, in a position that is comfortable for you. Bring the crown of your head up last. Inhale the fingertips up. As you exhale, thumbs to the third eye and hinge forward. Our final pose for today. Namaste. Thanks everybody for joining me. I'm really glad you are here. And I'll look forward to seeing everybody again on the mat tomorrow.